Hello and welcome to Breakfast for Pancakes. I am your host, PK Sullivan. This week's video comes from a friend of mine. She is not a big home cook. She doesn't do the same sorts of cooking that I am, so she really wanted to know what I consider essential to a modern kitchen. What are the bare necessities that you need in order to cook effectively? And that's what this video is today. Later, I will go into some of the nice to haves and even my just complete splurge items in separate videos for people who, like me, are inclined towards gadgets and new technology and tools. Everything from here on out is just sort of miscellaneous stuff. Everything else that you're going to need in order to do basic recipes in the kitchen. You're going to need some cutting boards. Cutting boards are where you do your prep work. You are going to be manipulating your vegetables and meats. My general rule here is bigger is better. Get the biggest cutting board you can afford. Find a way to wash it. A lot of people would say, oh, if it doesn't fit in your sink, don't get it. I disagree. My main cutting board, this behemoth of wood here, doesn't fit anywhere close to being in the sink. In fact, I've used it as a platform over the sink to get some shots in the past. Don't worry about it if it doesn't fit in the sink. Just, wipe it down well on your counter with soap water and then dry it off and you'll be good to go. But bigger is better because it gives you the workspace. You really have the space to work. Having a cutting board this size was absolutely liberating after going from years on this guy. I have a strong preference for wood. Wooden cutting board, in my opinion, is the way to go. They clean up great. If you keep them treated well with some mineral oil, they can last for ages. This is bamboo. I have had this for close to 15 years. It's phenomenal. You can see it is battle scarred and worn, but it's still a great cutting board. Absolutely works beautifully. A lot of people prefer plastic. Whatever you do though, do not use glass. Glass is terrible on your knives. It just wrecks the edge. You're going to be blunting your knives and having to sharpen them a lot more often. Use wood, use plastic. If you can afford to do this, I highly recommend dedicating one of your cutting boards to being a butcher block. Something that is the only place you cut meat and the only thing you cut on it is meat. Don't use it for anything else. Really helps control the cleanliness of your environment, prevent cross-contamination. As long as you are consistent about it and you keep this clean, really a good practice for keeping a clean kitchen. Mixing bowls. You're gonna need some for making any number of things, whether it's beating eggs to make an omelet or mixing up a cake, all sorts of things, you're gonna need bowls. Honestly, it's one of those things you can never have too many. I have a silly number of bowls in my place. I have come to realize that one thing I really appreciate in a mixing bowl is a flat bottom. A lot of bowls will have a dome on the bottom where it sort of bows up in the middle, and that will force things to pool around the edges. I don't want that. I want a nice flat bottom so that when I am whisking things, it's just, I'm able to move everything and use the entire bottom of the dish. I don't have to worry about any weird geometry at the bottom of the bowl. Strongly recommend you use glass and metal. Don't get plastic. Glass is oven safe if you need to use them to bake. Metal is solid, it's dishwasher safe, it's resilient, takes a beating. You can stick a hand mixer in there and not worry about breaking it the way you would with glass. Get yourself some mixing bowls, find out what you like, and you can really never have too many. But you should have a few in a variety of sizes. Next, you should have a whisk. Nothing else quite does the job of a whisk. There are a lot of recipes where you'll be required to whisk things on the stovetop. A fork's not going to cut it. You're going to need a whisk. It doesn't have to be huge. This one is pretty small. I think the actual whisk itself is maybe 4 or 5 inches in length. One is probably fine. If you are going the enamel cast iron route, get one that has this nylon or silicone for the head. That way you won't be scratching the enamel. Spatulas, wooden spoons, rubber scrapers, turners, whatever you want to call them. I have a very strong preference for wooden implements. They are non-stick safe, they work just fine in cast iron, stainless steel, really whatever you're working with. You can't go wrong with a good wooden spoon. So I have wooden spatulas, wooden spoons. Those are often my daily drivers. If I'm not using those, it's usually because I want to be scraping, and that's when I use my silicone or rubber scrapers. These are also great for working in your bowls and scraping food out of them. So going to need a variety of these tools for manipulating your food. I would say you probably want a wooden spatula, a wooden spoon, a rubber scraper, and then you'll probably also want a regular spatula. And if you're only going to get one, get a fish spatula. It's going to be the most versatile. It is a soft, flexible, easily manipulated tool. It's nice and thin, so it'll really get under the food, make a good solid contact with the pan, and sort of slice the food away from the bottom. Just like a whisk, nothing else does the job of a grater the way that a grater does. Yes, you can, mince up a potato, but it's not going to be the same as if you grate that potato for hash browns. Graters are distinct from anything you can do with a knife, basically. Microplane grater is awesome for zesting your citrus and grating nutmeg and any number of things. I use this for all sorts of foods. You've seen me grate garlic on this more times than I can count because it's the best way to mince garlic. If you're looking for a garlic paste, just get your microplane grater and zip it away. And then your box grater. Box grater should have your large grated side, your small grated side, a rasp grater. Your two workhorses are going to be the large grate and the small grate. Big grate here, awesome for grating potatoes and onions and vegetables. The small side here is great when you want to do a cheese that you want to melt into a very fine layer. This is great especially if you're rasping Parmesan cheese, a nice big hunk of it. You've got a big rasp here that will go through Parmesan pretty quick. And lastly, good kitchen towels. Good kitchen towels are going to be all over in your kitchen. They're going to be used for so many things. They hold your cutting boards in place. They act as makeshift hot pads. Other uses are aplenty. You will want to have them always at your side. Thank you for watching. If you like what I'm doing here, please like and subscribe. Hit those buttons down below, bell for notifications, all of that. I do have a Patreon, so if you would like to help me on my journey of better home cooking education, go ahead and follow the link in the show notes over to my Patreon. There are some great rewards there, and I'm really looking forward to building up a community of great home cooks. I'll see you next time.